Daylight is a first-person survival horror game where you play as a girl named Sarah who searches for remnants of her past in an abandoned hospital. Atmosphere. Walking through the dark with nothing but some glow sticks in an abandoned hospital and other spooky environments is about as scary as you'd expect. It's tense, and the eerie silence throughout a lot of the gameplay makes it especially creepy. The derelict appearance of the locales is also vaguely haunting. Each playthrough is randomly generated, and each time you die it resets to prevent you from getting used to an area, which adds an air of suspense and mystery. Really, it's the ghost itself that builds the atmosphere. Its lack of terrestrial rules makes its appearance and disappearance a total surprise. It's the anticipation of when it's going to appear that fuels the real fear in this game. Whilst the game is essentially a series of magic fetch quests where you search for things in the dark to progress, every second spent looking for those things can be nerve-wracking. That's one Harry Mason. Scares. There's a lot to talk about here. Daylight does everything it can to startle and scare you, from causing random items to move on their own as you explore rooms, to spawning the ghost antagonist right next to you so you turn around and walk right into them. It works primarily with jump scares and the build up to them. The impending fear of being startled is a vicious cycle. The problem with ghosts are that you can't pin them down. They appear when they want to, and they don't have any rules. I'd argue the game's biggest flaw is in its difficulty. Play it on easy and I strolled through the whole game in 40 minutes without dying once, barely ever seeing the ghost at all, but on medium I died multiple times in the same area, with the ghost appearing sometimes right in front of me and other times in front of the only exit from the room, so I was forced to die and restart the area. Constant death doesn't frighten me, it irritates me. When the game works, it works well, but when it doesn't, its randomly generated layout sucks. Finally, talking about the ghost itself, the scripted sections where it makes appearances are incredibly bland and predictable in comparison to the terrifying, raw, unscripted appearances it makes during searches for remnants. I'm going to give this the point because it does a great job most of the time.
Life is but a butterfly's dream.
Sound design. The music is pretty cool with some suspense-driven pieces and the mysterious piano music near the start, but most of it is just silence and some very quiet, suspended high notes. The 3D audio stuff is great, with sound cues, bangs and rattles that draw your attention to things. There's a lot of sound cues that tell you that the ghost is behind you or following you. This is a good game for headphones. It all adds up to the immersion, so that's 3 Harry Masons. Gore. There isn't really any. It's a ghost story. It didn't need any either, so point awarded for getting it right. That's 4 Harry Masons. Story. Player character Sarah awakens in an abandoned hospital, and that's all you get to work with. The story is picked up through random pieces of paper referred to as remnants. There isn't much incentive to stop and read these as they're brief and not all that interesting. I found myself automatically skipping them. There's also a guiding voice over the phone, but most of the time it just spouts gibberish and talks in riddles. By the end of the game, the story is apparent and it's not particularly interesting. The final moments provide one plot twist that anyone could have seen coming, making the final score 4 out of 5 Harry Masons. Daylight is pretty much a glossy version of Slender the 8 Pages, and whilst it scares, it doesn't do much else. The game is very basic and isn't worth playing more than once. Again, I'd like to remind you this whole thing is down to my opinion in horror games, and if you don't share this opinion, then that's cool, I get it. I'd like to point out that whilst I did jump out of my chair when I turned to face the ghost, I did not scream like a banshee or run away from the computer, and I advise you don't either. There'll be more horror reviews in the pipeline, and thanks for watching, and always go check out Bumps in the middle of the night. Peace.